go. 46 cars on the grid here as we slowly trundle up the front straightaway at America's National Park of Speed. A thrilling spectator experience in a perfect place for a midsummer GRIDLIFE festival. We were joking that it's called Summer Apex, but friends never let friends apex early. It's a late apex here of the summer of 2025. Green flag flies into racing in the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Race number 4 of the weekend. Blair Hosey, strong launch. Mersberger, though, trying to keep tucked up alongside him on the run to turn 1.
And look at Jason Ayler making it 3 wide, trying to get a peek up the inside. Hosey sees him coming and covers him down to the inside. Hosey with the orange splitter supports there. 3 wide. James French comes out of nowhere, gets a bump into the corner, but he's going to take the lead. No way.
Where did he come from? I don't know even where he was on the grid. P6, and now he's leading, I think, headed down to turn 3. What a move. He's battling for the top spot now. Second place, trying to shuffle in, Tom. That was great heads-up driving there by the 70.
Unreal. Holding the outside of turn 3 is almost impossible if you don't have most of the position covered already, so not surprised to see him drop into second place. Bryce Mersberger then slots into third. It looks like Jason Ayler maybe fourth, but they're going to be all sorts of side-by-side, 3 and 4 wide, coming down to the braking zone just at the 3 board. Watch for the sparks diving off these splitters. Dust flying in the background.
Yeah, big lunge on the brakes for Andy Vogel. They're going to be 4 wide almost into turn 5. That math doesn't play. 1 car out wide here at 5. Tom, everybody else making it through there okay.
This is very, very high quality stuff down through turn 5. Just notice Nico Bratz had a nightmare of a start. That chrome red that we looked at in 3rd, I think is fallen down to 7th, I believe, just in front of Robinson in the orange car. That's kind of a top 8 breakaway. Whoa, big side-by-side for Aaron Grimm and Hassan Ahmed in the 2 pink cars. James French has been so racy, and it wasn't until he had a mechanical failure that he really fell out of favor for this weekend. Race 1 was leading race 2, and then all of a sudden he found himself on the back foot. He's going to want this one so bad.
Look at him driving up to the rear bumper of Blair Hosey through the carousel. Little lateral slide there late in the corner. He's pushing that car, using the aerodynamic downforce, just chasing the shadow of the 8 into the kink for the first time. He's hungry in that 70 car.
Andy Vogel also with a great start after that interview we saw a little bit earlier. Wow, big stuff for Bryce Mersberger as he lost a position out to maybe, I think that might be, I don't even know who that is, Charnogorski, I believe, picking up the 3rd position, and then Vogel slotting into 5th.
So the front 2 starting to pull away there just a little bit. Now some side-by-side. Andy Vogel looking for a spot into Canada corner, clawing their way up through Billy Mitchell Bend again, turn 13, using some curb as Blair Hosey, trying to outrun. And again, he's really the driver that's the one to beat in the weekend points. 67 earned so far, but as they come across the line, things are going to shuffle quite a bit with the 70 car of James French so far forward now.
Wow, look at the confidence that French had. A couple of the other cars behind looking really, really good too, and he's within drafting distance. These cars so aggressive looking when they're coming in the rear view mirror. I'm sure it's a little bit intimidating. He's still got about 5 of these car lengths to cover. There's through the Nico Bratz trying to push his teammate Ethan Alexander up towards the front just a little bit further, and it is it Leach? Yes, Leach is in a borrowed car. That's why we couldn't figure out who it was. It's got a different bodywork on the front, but Ryan Leach has raced his way up into 3rd position from 10th.
Oh, that's going to make things really interesting for the weekend here. Up, down into turn 3 as Hosey, French, Leach lead the way here. Good call there, Tom. Don't see that 56 up in the mix now, and chasing to get back up onto the podium here and put a disastrous weekend relative to the rest of his year where he won everything up to this point. We knew it would fall at some point, and this weekend was it for the number 56. Has yet to get to victory lane here at Summer Apex.
Can no longer say he's won every single race, but he can still say I've won a race on every weekend I've been at if he can get back to the front, and this is going to be almost in no time. A little bit awkward though for Leach in that 3rd place car. James French biding his time, I think had a bit of a thought to pass down into turn 5, not able to complete it though. The top 6, 7 now breaking away. Ethan Alexander succumbed to the position over Andy Vogel in front of his Nico Bratz teammate there in the blue and red flashing through the screen.
Yeah, then Jason Ayler right there behind there in the 74 car chasing them, and Robinson in the orange car at the back of the shot there, and Ellis Spezia in the number 111. We mentioned rally experience. Hopefully we'll be using a lot of that here. Look at Blair Hosey tracking out a little wider, kicking the rear end out there, Tom. Tell me about these cars through that apex, that carousel. You want to keep it tight, or are you going to track out a little bit?
I think it's probably close to flat out in these cars. And it looks like they handle just that little bit of yaw, that rotation you saw from the leader of Hosey. James French going with the more composed line up the inside. They both seem to pay off just okay. Maybe some options for these drivers as they choose their lines. And I have to wonder even if there's a bit of aero wash as they come off the wing from a car in front. You got to be a little bit careful of where you place the car following. It looks like Ryan Leach has run out of steam for just a little bit. We saw him slip up in turn 5, not able to close the gap that much more, and he's still got pressure from Mersberger and Vocal. And Jason Ayler in the background has been able to work his way back around Ethan Bratz. So Bratz has slipped back from third on the grid, third in the weekend points, and he's not going to like to see where that ends him if he can't get back up from 8th position.
And coming up the straightaway here again, James French with the purple highlight means he's the fastest driver on the racetrack at the moment. It was only by a few thousandths of a second over Hosey last time by. Here's the points again as they run. Hosey 92, Mersberger 73. But that third place fight between Bratz, French, and Ayler, that's going to get pretty exciting here. I don't think we'll see a big shuffle this time through, Tom. Not a lot of changes in position, but it might shift just a little bit with some of the passes deeper in the field.
Big move up the inside for Andy Vocal, trying to get around Mersberger. Pretty textbook stuff there without even needing to defend on the exit. He protects down to the inside for turn number 3, a smart move. And I'm just paying attention to Hosey. He's so aggressive on the brakes with these cars. He's got that threshold brake just dialed in. It wiggles just a little bit under braking, but it's so efficient and well done.
That's where he was really beating Leach at Midwest Festival a couple of months ago, but he was unable to get past the 56 there. Every time we get to the white flag, he was right on the heels, nipping away at the 56, but couldn't quite get enough on the brakes. But here, he's out-braking the 70 of French. And look at this battle. Here's Andy Vocal and Mersberger. That's for 4th.
And then just behind, whoa, big move from Ayler around the outside. That's a mistake. He's not going to make turn 5. He keeps it on the pavement. Nice part about a little car is you can keep it just barely off the track and you're still on there at turn 5, but it's the teammates back in front. Ethan Alexander in the chrome blue, then Nico Bratz in the chrome red. They've been dealing with Ayler for 2.5 laps at this point. They can take a breather. And just behind, we saw J. Robinson go a little bit wide at turn 14, still trying to work up to the back end of Jason Ayler now.
Remember how James French got the lead to win his first ever GRIDLIFE Rush Series race on Saturday morning? It was by an over-under at turn 5 on Ryan Leach. So maybe French is just toying with Hosey right now and waiting for an opportunity to use that slipstream. Teammate on teammate fight there, but deeper in the field between Alexander and Bratz.
A little bit further back in the top 10, we saw Ellis Spiza in that interview before the race. That's the dark blue car right behind the bright orange. But at the front, James French, I don't know if he knows where he's got the advantage yet. He seems to be mostly staying in touch thanks to the draft. After losing maybe a little bit of time through the carousel, maybe Hosey a bit more confident in the high-speed corners, but this is all just ebbing and flowing as especially tire temps coming up. This track is so much hotter than it was yesterday. We have gone green for a longer period of time so far, knock knock, than any other race this weekend, I believe. So we are kind of getting into uncharted territory here towards the halfway point of this Rush Race 4.
Yeah, who's using their tires, who's abusing their tires over the course of a 12 to 15 minute race. It's not that long, but these cars don't have a very big wheel and tire setup here. Again, points, they're not going to shift a lot here this time. Again, we haven't seen a ton of position changes, but Nico Bratz, again, up and down the order a little bit. Across the stripe this time here, Tom, lap completed again. Hosey leads, French unable to go quicker. And it still looks like a Hosey, Mersberger, and Bratz podium for now. Chorganorski and French fighting for that 4th spot there. If James French could, if James French could make up one more spot, he'd gain enough points to really be in the conversation for a weekend podium.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't have any more spots to make up but one, so he kind of put himself in a hole with that mechanical failure and then charging back through the field. Blair Hosey is under control in this race. He was about a 10th faster last time through than James French. This is going to be exciting. These teammates just cannot get away from each other, and they've gone through a number of bodywork panels on these cars just out of sort of small clumps here and there.
It's like putting the wrong color marker cap back on. It's like TJ Hunt's got green bodywork on his car right behind his teammate Nate Hamilton.
Again, the draft bringing James French close, and there's that overslide that we've seen pay off or pay badly for drivers. Hosey losing the back end just slightly, and it prevents that forward acceleration. It brings James French really, really close to the back bumper of that lead car, the number 8, with its first chink in the armor. Recovers it nicely, though, picks up some speed through turn number 8. Again, it just looks like Blair Hosey has a little bit something extra in the high-speed corners. He's a little bit more comfortable with some rotation, or there's some setup difference on that car that's keeping it rolling through there a little bit faster than James French. Watch it happen here in the carousel. We'll see if it materializes once more.
You can watch Hosey track out a little wider. That's a little too wide. He's in the marbles there a touch, and the 70 of French pulling in tighter here, Tom. Battle for the lead here in the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. Onto the kink, and James French, a pilot with so much experience in prototype machinery and things like this car all over North America, is now challenging Blair Hosey, the son of the creator of the Rush SR. leading the way to Canada Corner.
Son of the creator versus one of the hometown heroes. That's a local driver in James French, and that's the risk reward that we've mentioned before. If you're pushing the limits of the car and you make a little bit mistake, it starts to hurt you really, really quickly. James French going with a more conservative approach, keeping the line tight, and it's allowed him to be closer than ever coming back to the line for starting lap number 5. We're past the 10-minute mark in this race, or just about, so a white flag could be creeping up on us within the next 2 laps.
Yeah, here they come out of turn 14 and up the hill. Blair Hosey trying to keep James. Oh, trouble turn 14. Is that Mersberger? That's off. The red and white car. He's got back on course now, but just went for a ride through the dirt here, Tom, and that could tumble him down the order. He was right ahead of Ethan Alexander, and James French is all over Hosey for the race lead in the draft on the front straightaway, but staying tucked in line for now.
Is it a bump draft even? Pushing him down. Now watch the wiggles under the brakes. Big braking zone there. Leach now with the fastest lap. The 56 car running in 3rd position is the fastest car as of that lap. Confidently using all the runoff at turn number 1. Vocal now a lonely 4th position. He's probably content with that after his exciting weekend, and those 2 teammates still running nose astern. It looks like Nico Bratt's finally able to get around his teammate Ethan Alexander for 5th and 6th. And yes, Mersberger with the off will slot back into the 7th position this time by.
Yeah, Leach 2.1 seconds back from the leader. James French 94 thousandths back from Blair Hosey at the line. He's right there in the mix. Look at that. 12 thousandths between their 2 best laps. These are 2 drivers that are incredibly evenly matched, and they're likely going to only get another lap or 2 to sort this out.
French rolling so much more entry speed at turn 5, going for a little bit of an earlier turn in, and it pays off just a little bit through that turn 5. Local knowledge may be coming good, but there's just something that Hosey has that French does not, and French is closing up slightly every so often, but Hosey covers him every time it happens.
And Hosey's done a great job on defense this weekend. He's been on offense all year long, and they've all been chasing Ryan Leach, who's now in pursuit mode. We haven't seen Leach this far disadvantaged at all yet this year, but he, with that purple line on the timing and scoring, tells us he's the fastest car on the racetrack, and there's still time he could get there, especially if these 2 come to blows at the pointy end.
Little correction halfway through the carousel once again for Blair Hosey, maybe letting that car be a little bit too free for these higher track temps. And again, French is going to have a great draft coming down to the Canada Corner. It almost seemed like he didn't want to take the position that last lap that he was this close. Will he do it this time?
Well, again, you have to look in the rearview mirror. Again, as soon as they go through a corner side by side, it will not take very much effort at all for Leach to run them down. So there's a little bit of strategy to this, Tom. If you feel like you can make the pass whenever you choose, you don't have to force it, because if you can't complete it, you might get beat by the 3rd place car.
Yeah, and with many of these races, you had to race when you could race, because there was a looming full course yellow because the runs had been so short. Now we're coming up on 6 laps into the race. We can pretty much trust that it will be good to go towards the end, so maybe James French feeling a little bit comfortable. But again, he lost some time on the entry and through the apex of Canada Corner, so he won't be nearly as glued to the back end of Hosey as they get the white flag coming up underneath the start-finish line.
1 more lap to go. Nate Hamilton off course at the exit of turn 5, so that will cover off a passing opportunity. Ethan Alexander is also off track. That, I think, is, where's that, in the carousel maybe? Either way, this reduces one of James French's passing opportunities with the yellow at turn 5 in sector 2. So he's got to get it done somewhere else in the lap. And you see this, the graphic top of the screen now, Tom. He's going to see a yellow on either driver's left or driver's right heading down there, and he's going to be kicking himself because he's going to run out of opportunities now to make this overtake, especially if there's a yellow somewhere else later in the lap like we saw with Ethan Alexander.
Yeah, probably the prime opportunity is gone as far as passing zones. Coming down into turn 5 here, we'll see them in just a moment. It's side by side. Is it covered under local yellow still? The question remains. We will see in a moment. French gets the pass done. It is under yellow, so he's going to have to give that back or risk getting disqualified, and he doesn't look like he's aware of it. They're still racing hard through the full course yellow. Hosey maybe noticed it, flashes the brake lights. If he doesn't pass French back, he will still just inherit the win. Whether he knows that or not is a different statement.
Yeah, so Tom, the yellow flag I saw at the corner 5 corner station, right? But if there was a yellow before that, it would certainly be a pass under yellow. Your thoughts there going down to the apex? They can race to it, right, Tom? It's going to be borderline.
It goes to the details of the rule book. They're all listed just slightly different. French letting the other car back through, maybe even hearing us say it. In the GRIDLIFE rule book for other competition series, it's within sight of the flag. That's what the words say.
Yep.
If it's different for Rush, then maybe we are a little bit misleading here, but French is going to give it one more go just to be safe. He's got a really good draft through the carousel. I think this may be the opportunity he's going to take.
Yeah, again, he's going to have to do it. Again, if there's even any doubt and you have one more opportunity, you might as well do it. Here he comes down into Canada corner. Battle still on here. Time. Here he comes. Driver's left. French trying to overtake it this time into Canada corner. Here they come. Jose on defense into turn 12. They're side by side. Crossover here from the 70 car. Can French do it, Tom? 2 more corners.
Off the drag race. Oh, French didn't quite get the over-under. Planted his nose into the back end of Jose. He's going to have one more shot. He needs the run of his life through turn number 14. Blair Jose trying to pick up another win. The first win on the weekend, I think, for this car. The third win, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Third win on the weekend for this car. Can he get it done? French flings it through.
Here we go. Drafting up the hill. Jose's going to go defensive. Here comes James French. It's going to be a drag race to the finish line. Side draft. Here comes James French to the checkers. Who gets there first? Jose or French? Here they come, side by side. I don't even know who got it. At the line, it's French by 6/1000ths of a second. And I think, Tom, that is the closest finish in a wheel-to-wheel race in GRIDLIFE history. 6/1000ths of a second. Can you believe that?
Wow, chills. That's all I could say, chills. Unbelievable stuff from a couple of bona fide pros here. That was excellent racing. The draft, the run through the final corner, the side draft even coming into effect, no doubt there, and just absolutely a splitter's length between them as they come across the start-finish line. Ryan Leach brings home third, closing in by a little over a second in that final lap. The rest of the field still coming through outside the top 20. More drag races all the way through this epic field.
That was unbelievable. 6/1000ths of a second for James French. He played that perfectly, building the run out of turn 14, driving up alongside, using the side draft, pulled even with Jose at the last possible moment. It was 6 inches maybe. That was so cool, Tom.
Looking back outside the top 3, Andy Vogel comes home, like we mentioned, that quiet third. Nico Bratz ends up holding off Bryce Mersberger just slightly ahead. Yes, between those two cars, another really close finish, 4/10ths at the line. Jason Ayler, after that killer start, was up to third, falls back to about where he started in 7th. Another great run for a racer who won most of the races at Mid-Ohio earlier this year. Jaden Batley gets himself into the top 10, having come from the very back of the field in race 2. John Robinson and Billingsley are going to round out, Nicholas Billingsley going to round out the top 10.
Well, that was cool. TJ Hunt finishes with the bodywork on the car this time. I'm sure he's stoked about that. And the car's headed back to paddock here with James French, Blair Jose, Ryan Leach, Vogel, Bratz, top 5. Pretty unbelievable finish there for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. They put on a show last year, 3 wide across the line, 28,000ths, but this is a fraction of that between French and Jose.
Took a look at Ellis Spiza. He was one of the interviews at the beginning of the race, had some action at some point in the race, was starting, I believe, just outside the top 10 and 13th, and he races to 17th at the end.
All right, so the weekend points, we just lost them because the timing and scoring cleared there right at the end there, Tom. But
bummer.
Well,
I think it's safe to say Blair Jose is going to take the win on the weekend. He finished second in that race. He was ahead by about 10 points, so it was his to lose, and he will take the weekend championship here in GRIDLIFE Rush. Looking at some replays of the start. Wow, big stuff. This is how James French came out of nowhere, swept across the nose, probably caught Blair Jose a little bit off guard there. Was not able to complete the pass, settled into second position where he spent most of the race. In fact, every second of the race, essentially, until the very last lap. This is how close it was. Look at that rotation he got. Ryan Leach slipping up just a little bit, not quite able to stay in touch with this field.
Yeah, and it was a chase now between the rapscallion cars there, between TJ Hunt and Nate Hamilton. They had a good scrap for position. So did the front runners, though. Blair Jose and Ryan Leach. They went battling side by side, and then a big off for Bryce Mersberger in turn 14 sent him down a couple of spots into the Nico Bratz and Ethan Alexander battle. And while Jose was establishing about a 15-car length lead, on the last lap it became a battleground, but they drove off into turn 5 with a standing yellow for a car that was off. It was Nate Hamilton off course. You see it on screen there. There was another car off course elsewhere in the lap. When they got down here, James French completed the pass, but because it was under a yellow flag condition, he had seen the yellow flag, he had to give it back. So when he came up to turn 14, it was one more opportunity coming up the hill here towards the checkered flag, and it was a battle to the finish. 6/1000ths of a second in that battle, side by side to the stripe. GRIDLIFE Rush Series Race 4 complete here from GRIDLIFE Summer Apex.